What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, July 30th, 2019. Thank you so much for coming by. I'm going to try and do a nice, quick live stream for you. I feel like I haven't covered Bitcoin in a little bit, and I'm still trying to get into the flow of these live streams in this new setup, so getting some practice time in. But I also really just wanted to go over Bitcoin in a brief technical analysis video, so we can really start by first talking about a tweet that I tweeted. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. Let me see if I can find this. Here we go. Here is the correct tab, I think. Yeah, Bitcoin momentum. Bitcoin momentum oscillators on the daily chart are beginning to look nice. And you can't see my screen. So hold on. I told you, practice. I'm telling you, everybody. Let's see. Bitcoin momentum oscillators. Boom, boom, boom. You should see my screen here right now. Bitcoin momentum oscillators on the daily chart are beginning to look nice. Makes me more secure with heavy accumulation in the 8,000s, not at 8,000, but in the 8,000s if Bitcoin gets there. If not, I'm happy to see $13,000 once again. All about patience. I'm not just like throwing out the $13,000 number, for the heck of it. There's a real reason why I'm talking about that number on the charts, and a very real reason why we could potentially hit that area. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video. So let's kind of jump into the charts. First off, if you're a replay viewer, just curious, in the comments below, I just want to get a feel for at this critical area. I think we're always at a critical area for Bitcoin, but at this area, are you bullish short-term or bearish short-term in terms of Bitcoin price? Press 1, or if you're bullish, press 2 if you're bearish, or just say you're bullish or bearish, whatever's easier for you. If you're here in the live chat, I just ended a live stream, so I don't even know if there's going to be many people in this live stream, but press 1 if you're bullish, press 2 if you're bearish. I'm very curious. Jumping into the charts. Let's jump into the charts. So Bitcoin zoomed out on the daily chart. Now, here we go. It's very simple in terms of what Bitcoin has been doing, right? And there's literally nothing new about the volatility in Bitcoin, about the moves that Bitcoin has been making. And it's very evident on the zoomed out chart. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I've talked about it a lot in the last probably few Bitcoin technical analysis videos. But if you look at this bull market high in 2013, bear market low 2015, Fibonacci retracement. This is the 618 to 786 channel right there. And we saw heavy resistance in that area. I know I've talked about that a lot, but what I want to draw your attention to, put a little different spin on this area, right? This Fibonacci area. And actually, I'm going to chart it real quick because it probably would be helpful just to kind of see on the screen. So bull market, bear markets, boom. Here's the channel right here, 618 to 786, this green rectangle. Just a very long-term critical resistance area on the Fibonacci retracement. So there it is, highlighted in red. Bitcoin just climbed out of the bear market right into that heavy resistance. This, if you've been watching my videos, I call the doorway to the bull market. And you can see after hitting resistance, it took 181 days for Bitcoin to break through that doorway. Now, I want to just show you a couple things. Number one, 181 days it took for Bitcoin to retest that. In today's terms, this whole area is right around $13,000 up to $16,000. That's the same Fibonacci retracement long-term that Bitcoin is seeing resistance at. And you can see right now, if we're looking at the 2016 chart, right, at this resistance area, one thing that is interesting to see is the Litecoin halving 4 years ago. So in terms of where the Litecoin halving is on this chart, as Bitcoin exited the bear markets into this resistance, the Litecoin halving was actually like right back here. And this was at the 2015, pretty much one of the major lows in the bear market of 2015, right? And to me, that's interesting. I just noticed this today, that this is where Litecoin halving was in 2015. Now, if we go to where we are in today's charts, right? Obviously, we know the Litecoin halving. I don't have it on the chart here, but it's like in 5 days, right? So I can very quickly put a vertical line. It's like right there, okay? So now look at where Bitcoin saw resistance at this key Fibonacci area, this $13,000 to $16,000 area prior to the halving, right? So, and I'm going to actually chart the Fibonacci retracement right here on the chart so you can see it. Swing high, swing low, and how do I always mess this rectangle up? I just don't get it. So there it is. Now, interestingly enough, Bitcoin seeing this resistance coming out of the bear market just way quicker than it did last time around, right? You can just see how long it took to actually hit this area of resistance, that key resistance of this 618 right here. I could measure the time frame, but I'm not going to save some time. But you can just see in the chart, it just kind of went parabolic way quicker. We have this 50 moving average cross above the 200 moving average down here way quicker, and then resistance. So right now on the very short term, it's kind of just like, well, when are we going to test that $13,000 range again? And that's one of the biggest questions that I have in terms of Bitcoin right now. It's kind of what I'm watching on the charts. Right here is the 4-hour chart. We'll get to that in a second. But on the daily chart, there's just some things that are interesting that are lining up. Let me get rid of this Fibonacci retracement and check it out. So Bitcoin, since this swing high in the $14,000 range, this very key resistance area, Bitcoin has come down, right? And from a price range perspective, Bitcoin has come down, 30-some%. Now, we're under the 50 moving average, which is definitely concerning. We were hoping for some support above this 50 moving average. Really, that's the first sign of just continuation, right, for Bitcoin to the upside. Support above that 50 moving average. Well, right now, we're below the 50 moving average right here. So on the very short term, I would love to see if Bitcoin can make a move above that. So how will it do that? And the charts kind of give some clues. And not just these charts, but momentum oscillators. But before we get to momentum oscillators, I want to illustrate something. You see how Bitcoin's kind of it's just leveling out in terms of volatility and price range, and it's just below the 50 moving average doing that. There's not a ton of volatility. Like this small little channel, this is on the daily chart for the last week or so. Bitcoin's been trading in like a 10% range, which 10% might sound like a lot, but it's just not. It's really not in terms of Bitcoin. And you can kind of go back in the charts to many different areas and see something similar. And usually when that happens for a little bit of time, Bitcoin just explodes out of that channel, right? Whether it's to the downside, usually when we're in a downward trend, right? So here we go, Bitcoin just trading within a very small channel, but we're in this downtrend, in this bear market, right? So what did Bitcoin do after just breaking out of this very small channel, just further downside? And then we have this in the reversal of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's trading in a very small channel, just above the 50 moving average. What's it do? It's part of the reversal. It's part of the story of Bitcoin's reversal out of the bear market. It explodes up, right? Even before breaking above the 50 moving average after falling below it back in January of 2019 in a small channel down here. What's Bitcoin do? Breaks up above the 50 moving average. I remember this. This was extremely bullish. It's what we waited the whole bear market for, was to see a move like that. And Bitcoin made that move. So similarly, I get just kind of that same feeling of watching Bitcoin right now, as it's at a very cooled off stage right now in a very small little 10% channel. And really the biggest question I have is, can Bitcoin, does it have the momentum, the strength to make a move to the upside above this blue line, the 50 moving average? It's one of the most important things that needs to happen for Bitcoin, or else this is going to be a prolonged, dip for Bitcoin. I will say this, I truly believe that Bitcoin is, within a bullish setup, And that's even if we're going down into the 7,000s, the 6,000s, Bitcoin is setting up for a very bullish move. If we look at Bitcoin at this last, rejection area, right? And I remember talking about this before we even got to this stage. Bitcoin at this last rejection area, when we hit this 618 resistance out of the last bear market, right? So, we're going back a ways here. Just bear with me. 2013 bull market high, bear market low, rejection at this 618 line, right? Right here. Bitcoin, it might have looked bearish to a lot of people when it just got that huge rejection right back down to the 200 moving average on the daily chart. However, this was actually an incredibly bullish time frame. Right here, this 181 days was an extremely bullish area, and it proved to be an excellent area of accumulation. And I say that in hindsight, and that's with losses from that swing high of 41% to swing low. But that was an incredible area to buy. Now, for context, if we go back to our daily chart, what has happened since rejection off the same type of Fibonacci channel? Well, we have not 40% losses, but 35% losses, right? Is there further downside? Potentially. There definitely could be further downside. However, I believe the same type of thing is happening. Just as after this Fibonacci retracement rejection back in 2016 here, just as this whole 181 days proved to be an excellent area of accumulation. If you're looking back historically, obviously it would be nice to know when you're living in it, because I'm sure right here when Bitcoin's down 40%, people are like, this is it, game over for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's dipping down to $480. Man, it's going to be in the 200s soon. Darn it, why didn't I sell back here, right? People live very emotionally in these markets on a day-to-day basis, even looking at hourly charts. That stuff freaks me out. That stuff stresses me out. I have, way too many things to worry about than 40% dips. And the only thing that I define a 40% dip is to buy Bitcoin. That's it. You cannot let emotion mix in. You can't let emotion creep in to that picture. However, this is kind of what I'm looking at. This is an extremely bullish time frame, right? So I believe Bitcoin, will it be 180 days? I don't think it'll be that long. We can take date range from that rejection. I just kind of want to put 180 days just so I know for context to what we're talking about. That's December. By the end of December, Bitcoin breaking through this doorway to the bull market. Could that potentially happen? Absolutely. It's 100% in play. And, if you want a bull market quicker, that's fine. I think everybody does. I would love and enjoy gains above this channel sooner than December. But it's truly a realistic possibility. That's pretty much the flow of Bitcoin after this rejection out of that last bear market, 2015 to 2016. It took that long for Bitcoin to really break into the bull market. I will say we saw that Bitcoin, when it was doing that, was well after the Litecoin halving in 2015 right here. This time around, Bitcoin does seem to be moving a little quicker, doesn't it? We've already hit the rejection area prior to the Litecoin halving of 2019. So Bitcoin it seems like it has more speed. It seems like things are moving quicker. However, it's definitely possible that this could go into the winter before we're breaking above this channel here. If Bitcoin truly is in fact moving quicker in these markets right now, then what we can see is Bitcoin breaking through this channel prior to the 180 days from this rejection area. So, in my opinion, right, I'm not just going to talk. I want to really give my opinion here. I think we will certainly test this channel, if not break it prior to December. I don't think it's going to take 180 days, especially based on some things lining up in terms of patterns and momentum. Bitcoin can definitely make a run for breaking this channel in the next few months, maybe beginning of fall. And that's extremely realistic. So what we're looking for is something similar to this bullish setup back here within this 180 days. It's kind of a really weird looking, it would be easier to really define why this is bullish looking. But it would probably be easier on the 4 hour to define why this is bullish looking. But just taking a very ugly look at the daily chart, you can just kind of see just setups of what Bitcoin is doing. We have a lower high here, or I'm sorry, we have a lower low here, we have a lower low here, and then we have lower highs in play, right? So Bitcoin was just kind of getting ready to break out of that channel. And then if you zoom in on the 4 hour chart, then we have, little mini symmetrical triangles going on where we have these lower highs mixing with higher lows, breaking out of those mini channels, right? I'm not going to dig into those charts right now, but that's kind of what was happening. So I'm just personally looking for some type of similar setup for Bitcoin. What kind of bullish patterns are we going to fall into? And I remember talking about this prior to even hitting a swing high, right? Basically talking about, well, Bitcoin's going to be overbought. And once it's overbought, we're going to get rejection, right? And then when we hit that rejection, what kind of bullish continuation pattern will we fall into? Well, we're starting to get a picture of that, right? So right here is a potential falling wedge that Bitcoin may break out of, right? End of summer, maybe beginning of fall. And then we're breaking the, $15,000 area. We're breaking this Fibonacci channel and the bull market ensues. How long will that take? Could it take 180 days from this first rejection? Yes. Could it take quicker where we're in the fall time making this happen? Yes. Could it happen tomorrow? Boom. Yes, it could. Do I think it's going to happen tomorrow? No. On the very short term, and again, at the 50 moving average, right? So 10,500 right now. Could we get a move to 10,500? That's not the price range bar. Let's get the price range bar. 10% move, 10% move to the 50 moving average, rejection, right? This is what that would look like. Rejection, back down to a lower low. People freaking out, $8,100 Bitcoin from that 50 moving average. Bitcoin's down another 20%. People freaking out, Twitter going crazy, haters coming out of the woodwork on YouTube. That's what it would look like. It's 100% possible. It's kind of, those are the scenarios that are really real to me. Those are the ones I really anticipate because that is when I start, buying is when we get a move like that, a lower low, 20% to the downside after rejection at the 50 moving average with a positive spin on the charts. Because if that happens, we have this falling wedge that I have, a belief that Bitcoin is going to eventually break out of. It will take some patience. It'll take some volatility. But if I can bear with that, I believe Bitcoin will break out of this falling wedge. So I anticipate moves like that to the lower trend line. Lower trend lines, as ugly as they are, when we make moves there, they're just our friends. And I say lower trend lines simply because every time we confirm or create a new trend line that is a bottom trend line, it's always after some ugly move, right? Here's one right there. Here's one right here. Boom. And this would be another 20% downside right there. So that's where I'd be buying. Another interesting thing to me on Bitcoin charts right now is really, and I'm not going to take too much time to talk about this, but I'm still using this trend line that's extending all the way back to May. We had this breakout out of, and this was a really important time for Bitcoin in terms of Bitcoin exiting the bear market at the very least. And we have this upper trend line. Bitcoin broke to the downside, right, of this rising wedge. And it fails to hit its target to downside, and it was really a busted pattern to the upside. And so I use this trend line still, and right now it's just very confluent with the upper trend line right here of this newly formed falling wedge, right? So, and it's right above us right now, this area right here. The confluence there of those two things alongside this very key Fibonacci resistance up here, this whole area, like 13,000 down to 12,000, if Bitcoin can muster up the energy to get there, I'm extremely interested to see if Bitcoin sees rejection there or not, because, that is, if we're calling this the doorway to the bull market, this Fibonacci channel, this long-term Fibonacci channel zoomed out on the charts, then this confluent area, $12,000, $13,000, that is like the door the doorknob to the door. And the question is it locked? Is it locked or is it unlocked? Will Bitcoin see resistance there, or will the doorknob turn for us to just kind of break right through that area? Rob says all these little pump and dumps are just noise. Look at the monthly chart. Wicks are just noise. Very true. Zoom out as much as possible, especially on the monthly chart. I think I posted a yearly chart like last week, and it looked beautiful. It really did look beautiful. So those are the charts. It's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Bitcoin on the 4 hour. Maybe I'll do more of a shorter term video tomorrow for fun. But I wanted to touch on the Bitcoin, the momentum oscillators, because if we're talking about Bitcoin, trying to find energy to actually, number one, break above the 50 moving average right here around 10,500. And then we're talking about Bitcoin trying to muster the energy to break through this very key resistant area right below our major resistance area. What Bitcoin needs momentum, right? And so what are momentum oscillators telling us? Well, it's very simple. They're looking way more healthy, right? And this is what I started this video talking about. Bitcoin momentum oscillators on the daily chart are beginning to look nice. Makes me more secure with heavy accumulation in the 8,000s if Bitcoin gets there. If not, I'm happy to see 13,000 once again, all about patience. So simply because, right, and we just talked about this, if Bitcoin hits another lower low on this falling wedge, I'll be buying. But simply because the oscillators are down here, right? We're not up here in this overbought area on the RSI. We're actually down here, right above the 40 line, where we want to see support in a bullish environment. It's showing support so far. And right down here, the stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, oversold area. And then even on the MACD, if we open up the MACD so you can kind of see it a little bit better, you can see potential swing happening and potential momentum as we cruise right back up to zero on this histogram here. So Bitcoin on the daily chart from a momentum perspective doesn't look terrible. So if for whatever reason Bitcoin decides, I'm going to go another leg down, then it's going to even look better for accumulation. Even if Bitcoin kind of comes down on the RSI into the 30s and hangs out down here on the oversold area on the stock RSI, Bitcoin's going to look even stronger of a buy to me. So I will comfortably buy if that happens. If it doesn't, Bitcoin has a ton of upside ahead on the daily momentum oscillators to kind of retest the $13,000 area. Just don't know if it's going to happen so soon. If it does, that would be incredibly bullish if Bitcoin's making another move for our long-term Fibonacci retracement right here. This whole area, $13,000 to $16,000, the doorway to the Bitcoin bull market that everybody wants. I hope you're patient, everybody. I really do, because while Bitcoin is moving quicker than it did out of the last bear market, you see it on the screen here. This is Bitcoin breaking that Fibonacci channel, right? The same exact Fibonacci channel resistance we have right now. Here it is. Back then it was $790 resistance. This is the $13,000 resistance we just got. Took a while. Bitcoin saw a lot of volatility, but it busted through into the bull market. So it took patience. That was 180 days of patience. People probably bailing out, probably selling at this 40% swing low when they should have been buying. And I don't want to miss that boat. I always want to accumulate the dips. For anybody that might be new here and if you don't know my approach to the markets, it's simple to buy the dips. I don't sell Bitcoin and Litecoin. I've been holding. I really don't remember the last time I sold Bitcoin or Litecoin. I've sold Bitcoin and Litecoin, but I just don't anymore. I just strictly buy Bitcoin and Litecoin, and I do it when Bitcoin and Litecoin are dipping. Because I saw a comment, I think today, which was like, there's a bug right flying in front of me. I saw a comment today was basically asking me, why do you get excited when Bitcoin is dipping or Litecoin is dipping? Is that because you sold at the previous high? And it was a great question, but it's not. It's definitely not because I sold. It's just because I'm eager to buy more Bitcoin. I work hard to be able to accumulate, and that's what I do. I wait for the dips and I buy them. And so the next dip would be in the 8,000s, in my opinion. Nice accumulation area. Anything under $10,000, everybody, when we're years ahead I think is going to look like an incredibly ridiculous opportunity. And, there's a lot of people on the sidelines that might miss that boat. But those are my thoughts. I wanted to do a quick Bitcoin video for everybody. I'm trying to get into the groove here. I really appreciate everybody's patience in dealing with me getting set up, but we're getting there. And I thank you for coming. I thank you for being on the Eric Brown interview we just got done with. And things are looking good in crypto land, everybody. They really are. And I hope you're doing well out there. I really do. I appreciate all of you, the mods that are in here helping me out. You guys, I'm very appreciative of you. I don't feel like I say it enough. Those are my thoughts on Bitcoin today. Maybe we'll dig into the charts. Maybe we'll check out the 4 hour. Here's the 4 hour. Check that out maybe tomorrow. Let's see what Bitcoin does right now. 4 hour, 50 moving average resistance again. Man, that leg down is looking true and real. Let's see if we get it, or let's see if we get that break above the 50 moving average right here on the daily chart. That's the first step, 10,500. Can we make a move 8 to 10% to the upside? I hope so. I hope you guys are doing great. If you're here and you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you as part of the channel. I will see you in the next video. Have a great night, and God bless.